Okay, so my first evaluation of this machine, I'm not going to turn it on right now because it's actually really loud and I don't think I could talk over this and have the camera record. Um, First impressions, really good. Better than the dial laser, obviously, that I was using before. I did run into some issues with the air box leaking out of the back because these holes, there's two holes back here, one inlet, one outlet. The holes are actually about 110 millimeters, and these pipes that they provided are 120 millimeters. So there's no way that this clamp can clamp down without leaving a little gap. So I was getting all kinds of fumes leaking, and I have one of these air quality meters, and it'll tell me when like the air is bad, and that thing was going off the charts because this was leaking. So the way I fixed it was I got some PVC tape, 20 mil. Anything that's thick I think will work. So this tape is made of PVC. I just wrapped the hole to make the girth of the hole thicker, so this clamp could clamp down efficiently. Plus, I also sealed it with some what is it here? Aluminum HVAC tape. I don't know. You can't really see it right now, but I pretty much made the hole larger or wider. And then I put the pipe on, and then I sealed the end of the pipe with this aluminum duct tape. Don't use regular duct tape. You need aluminum duct tape. And then I clamped it down. And because it was made thicker and I sealed it with the aluminum tape, nothing leaks from there anymore. The hole behind the laser, where the exhaust come out of the laser, that's fine. I think that hole is around 115 or something millimeters. I didn't really measure, but the clamp clamps down perfectly without any modifications. So that was cool. Really, the only problems I had were exhaust. The unit does leak out of this back cover right here. If I lift it up, there's actually a gap here where when the fan starts to draw the exhaust towards the back of the machine, it'll kind of some of it will exit towards the top of the lid and not get captured within the pipes. So what I'm going to do in a little bit is to try to seal that. I'm going to put some foam tape down here, so when it closes, a lot of it is, or hopefully most of it is sealed off. And eventually I do want to seal off these edges here on the cap because there are little bits of gaps here, right here. I'm not too worried about the front because the air is drawn in from the front, exits toward the back. I'm worried about these little gaps here in the back where it doesn't seal. I don't know if you can see in the video, but you can see that it seals from here to here, but then there's a little gap here. Let me see if the video covers it. Yeah. So there's a little bit of a gap here that doesn't seal, and the air exhaust comes out here, but this seals pretty well. Again, I'm not worried about this gap in the front. I'm not sure why they decided to go. I guess they had to fit this piece of metal when it closes down there, but it just doesn't seal well. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. Find some material that's thin enough that won't impede on this cover opening and closing. But otherwise, operation is really smooth for this unit. I've used the GweikeCloud software. That one's meh. It's very basic, but totally usable. The camera's usable on that software too. So it's kind of, if you just want to cut something and get it done really quick. Or load the file and get it cut really quick. The cloud software works well for the basic thing it is. Then there's the Gweike offline software, which kind of looks like Lightburn, kind of not. That one's a little bit harder to use because I just didn't get what all their little symbols and icons and things meant, so it was a little bit harder to use. But I've used Lightburn in my other lasers, and so I use Lightburn with this unit, and it's amazing. It just works. There's a YouTube video online that shows you how to set it up. Once you get it set up, plug in USB, load a file, and go. It's seriously just that easy. So I did a test cut. I just did a little circle test cut. I'll do more test cuts later. So basically I use, I think it was 5 millimeter a second, 50% power, and this was 2 passes. And yeah, that's way faster than my dial laser was. Dial laser at least 7 passes at 75% power. But again, as I said, I'll do a few more tests just to hone in on my settings a little bit. What else do I want to talk about? I took the laser head off just so that I could see the laser head move down and up as I'm focusing within light burn. Because otherwise, if you have this on, you can't see if the laser head is going up or down or not. So I took the front cover off, and these are all held in by magnets, which is kind of cool. You just take off this little strap and just pop it off and on. Here, I'll take it off right now. Strap off, just pull this thing off, and you're off. And the front cover also snaps on too by magnets. It's very handy. I think that's pretty well done. I'll put it back on, and I'll put this strap back on later. Tech support. I don't have my phone on me right now, but tech support is really fast. They connect you with like 5 engineers who, any of the 5 can see any questions you post right away. Obviously when they're not sleeping, because the time zone is different. They're in China. Some of it gets lost in translation, but I think most of it gets through. They're really fast with what they with the support they provide. I had a question about what this thing was. I think it's for diagnostic purposes. This little lens thing here. Haven't really needed to use it, so I don't know. Maybe that'll come in handy later. So I just left it. Back to the air box and the exhaust situation. In the future, I'll be getting rid of this air box because I don't want something this big here. I will be getting a separate air compressor unit for the air assist, because right now the one they have here is built in. Or maybe I'll take the one in here and just make it external. I will be getting an inline filter for my home exhaust here. That way I can get rid of this filter and not have to have this big honking thing. And that way I don't need a pipe going in here and then out in here. Because the more bends you have, the more pipes you have, the less efficient your airflow is. So I just want a pipe straight out from here, out of the house. So that's what I plan to do in the future. I think that's it for first evaluation. This machine is, for what it is, it's totally worth the money. It's really loud. Oh yeah, and in terms of exhaust, if I get rid of the air box, I'll get rid of a fan in here, which makes things a little bit more quiet. Plus, if I have my home, I have an AC Infinity 6-inch inline fan down there that will pretty much be powerful enough to draw everything out of this laser outdoors. And so I'll be taking out the fan that's inside the laser too, to try to quiet the entire system down. So yeah, looking forward to those mods. But first mod I'm going to do right now off camera is to try to find some sealant or some foam tape to put along the back edge so the exhaust doesn't escape from the rear and into the house here and into my nose. So that's what I'm going to do off camera. But first evaluation, I think the machine's a good one. Okay, I have now the back sealed up. I had this refrigerator, I don't know what you call this, sealant, like rubber foam, sticky. There's some tape on the back stuff. So I lined the back with it and the back here with it. There's still some holes, but I'm hoping that'll hold up and the fan will be able to draw everything out before it escapes. So let's go. I'm going to turn this thing on and we're going to do a test cut that I have here. Yeah, so we'll turn on my AC Infinity. We will load some material, some scrap material that I don't have. Oh man, guess I have to use a new piece of wood. Alright, we'll just use a new piece of wood. New piece of wood, we're going to load it in. That's that. We're going to turn it on. My unit actually pulses because it's just drawing too much power, and I guess my house is not supplying enough power, but it will eventually turn on. And I assume that problem will go away once I remove the air box. So let's go. Turn it on. Might be too loud for me to talk over this once it's fully on. USB in. So let's close light burn. We'll turn on light burn again. We'll just wait for this thing to boot up. I have my, what do we call this, air quality meter here. So this number, right now it's green. I don't know if you can see it on the camera. Probably not. Right now it's green. Good air, 7.7 UG per meters cubed. I don't know how to read that. But this thing will start climbing. I mean, hopefully it won't. If exhaust starts escaping. So you can hear my unit pulsing. It's trying to get enough power, I guess. And those are the fans just kind of spinning. We'll wait for it to boot up. Sometimes it takes a while, sometimes it's short. Just in case fumes start leaking, I have my gas mask here. Alright, so we will get this design ready. This file here. So this file will just do one cut, one pass at 10 millimeters a second, 15, 20, 25, 30, at 20, 25, 30, 35, 40% power. I don't expect this to cut through at those values, so we will see. That's what a test is for. Still pulsing, still trying to boot. We're still trying to turn on. And I don't know how the Gweike behaves if your USB port goes to sleep, so I've turned off all sleep settings on my laptop here. So hopefully it won't go to sleep at all. My old laser, if the laptop went to sleep or the USB went to sleep, like the laser would shut off. Alright, hear that? It's fully ready to go. Safety first. I have my laser goggles here if I want to look at the laser. So I have a BC fire extinguisher just in case. Always be safe. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to come to focus. Actually, we'll click on devices, make sure this light burn is for the Ruida controller. Make sure the Gweike is detected. It is. I can start a frame. You can see the laser framing my cut area. I always do this before I start cutting. That way I know where to set my material so I don't waste material. So right now it's framing. Looks like I can move it more. Eventually I'll get this down where I don't have to move it. Looks like it's about there. Let's frame it one more time. Yeah, that's good enough. So what we got to do right now is to focus. So this is a 3 millimeter plywood. So they say, okay, now it's cutting and engraving. I have no idea what went wrong earlier. I just turned it off, turned it back on, replugged everything. So it looks like there's still smog leaking. You can see my thing going red right now. Yeah, and you can see a little bit of smoke coming up. So, yep, it's definitely leaking from the sides here. I don't smell anything yet. But yeah, it's definitely coming out of the sides here. You can kind of see it coming out of the sides. Coming out of the back too. So we're just gonna put my mask on for now. That's reading pretty high, look at that, 700. That's about 100 times what is healthy. Alright, so it's not cutting the way I wanted to. We'll try it again. I think I messed up my, oh yeah, I did a fill instead of a line. That's not good. We'll start that again. Okay, so setting this up, I want to press focus Z on the move panel. Set it to so it resets itself. Press add in 13 to cut a 3mm thick plywood. We're supposed to do 14, but I'm going to do 13. Press the down button so the laser head goes down, and then we'll press start. I'm gonna just tape it for now. We'll deal with the small later. Okay, I'll continue this video once it stops cutting. Okay, first test cut done. You can see that it pretty much punched through every single setting I set it at. 5mm a second at 40% power, it could cut through. 40% at 9mm, couldn't do it. I'll probably have to do more tests to see how fast it can actually go. But right now I'm going to cut a 1/4 inch. This one was 3mm. We'll see how it does with 1/4 inch ply. So I was getting a lot of exhaust leaks. This thing was all red. I have 2 meters here and they were both turning red. I temporarily put tape on the sides. I cut it down a little bit, but I assume it's still leaking from this back cover here. So let's frame the project. You have to refocus the laser every single time you do this, which is kind of a hassle. I wish it would just stay the original where you left it off as. Okay, laser is focused. Let's reset it just in case. Set it at 13mm, so this is 6mm plywood, so I would be at 10, technically 10mm. Okay, we're at 10mm, and then we'll start the project. So this is cutting 6mm plywood. Again, 3mm plywood. It punched through. At the fastest setting I have is 50% at 10mm a second. So I'm going to do another test card that goes much faster than this for 3mm. Let's see how So ideally I would want it the lowest power, to find out what the lowest power I need at the fastest speed. So that'll be for another test. And then I'll do it on 3mm MDF, 6mm MDF, 3mm acrylic. And those are technically all the materials I would personally cut. So after this 6mm plywood test is cut, I'll come back with results. So you can see these things are turning yellow. Right now it's at 42.8. I think this meter is a little bit less sensitive, but it's at 32, so it's almost there. I'm gonna press formaldehyde. There's not much formaldehyde within this plywood, I guess, so it's really low. AQI is moderate right now, 82. PM 2.5 is climbing. Alright, we'll come. Alright, 1/4 inch, 6mm. Looks like it didn't even do anything. So we're gonna need a little bit more power and maybe a few more passes. I think 3 passes at, well, at 60% 5mm punch through, but I still had to press it a little bit to poke it through. So looks like we'll need a little bit higher power. This cut on the outside was, let's see, this one was 2 passes, 50% power, 5mm a second, so it almost cut through. So I would probably need 3 passes at 50% power, 3 passes at 50% power, 5mm a second for this outside line to cut through. You can see that it almost cut through. Alright, we're gonna do 3mm MDF as a test. Overall, this is still way faster than my diode laser that I had before. Alright, we're good. Now we gotta refocus again. So this is 3mm, so we're going 14, and I'm gonna put it at 13 just for kicks. Going down, laser is focusing, and then we're pressing start. Alright, 3mm MDF. So I think sealing up the edges here helped a little bit. You can see like the engraving right now is producing a lot of smoke because it's burning one area a lot. I think the air assist could be a little bit stronger. I'll probably turn that up later because it's kind of, you can kind of see it's like kind of charring, kind of creating a little shadow that I don't like. Oh yeah, it's starting to smell, so I'm going to put this in there. Could be wrong, but I don't think it needs a direct connection. I'm not sure. Once you send the file to start, it just sends the file. So if your laptop goes to sleep, which mine did a couple times on the first cut, the machine still kept going. So that's a nice feature, I think. I can't confirm it, but maybe I'll do a test with that. Just unplugging the USB at mid-cut, see what it does. Alright, I'll stop the video until this thing is finished. Okay, here we go with MDF, 3mm MDF. Oops, sorry. We all know that MDF has much more glue content than plywood does, so that's why it's couldn't do it at these here. But it's still pretty good, so I'll see how fast I can cut it with as low of a power. So I probably can go above 10 millimeters a second at 50%. And we'll see. This one's a birch plywood, 3 millimeters. So right now I'm doing 6 millimeter MDF test. I don't expect it to cut through, but we'll see what happens. Cool. Come back when that's done. Alright, the 6 millimeter MDF is done. Looks like, oh, gotta punch it out a little bit, but it did cut through with 2 passes. You can see it's kind of shiny. I don't know if you can see that on camera. All that glue is coming out. So none of it cut through. Maybe 60% at 5 millimeter. You still have to punch it out by hand. 60% 5 millimeters. So we'll have to do more tests on that. That's okay. I'm still satisfied. So now we'll do the last one, which is a piece of acrylic. 3 millimeter acrylic. I have this scrap acrylic here. This might smell really bad. Okay, so 3 millimeter, we're going back down to 13. Reset the focus, press down. Laser head is going down. Good. And then we will cut 13. So this is 3 millimeter acrylic. Start. Alright, we'll be back when that's done. Oh gosh, acrylic really smells bad. Alright, what do we have here? Whew. Let's lightly punch these out with a light touch. See what comes out. Alright, so it looks like 45% at 5 millimeters a second. So the fastest we have at lowest power is, 50% at 6 millimeter, 55% at 7, 60% at 7, and oh, here we go. 60% at 8 millimeters a second, 60%. I'm very satisfied with these results. Alright, there you have it. This is acrylic. Acrylic's a little bit harder to punch out or cut out, but I'm very happy with these results. That's all the tests I'm going to do today. My next video will probably see how fast I can cut the MDF, 3 millimeter and 3 millimeter MDF and 3 millimeter plywood. That's all.